This is the Karcassin 15-inch beverage refrigerator. It chills a full weekend's worth of drinks, slides cleanly under a counter, and stays so quiet that I forget it is running. This is a compact, under-counter friendly beverage cooler, and it is best for anyone who wants dedicated drink storage without giving up much space. If you host often, if you want a clean-looking bar setup, or if you just want to get sodas, beer, and sparkling water out of your main refrigerator, this fits that role really well. I have it tucked into a narrow spot where a full-size appliance could never go, and it feels like an upgrade to the room rather than a compromise. The design is the first thing that won me over. The stainless steel frame and the glass door look sharp, but what actually matters day to day is the two-layer tempered glass. That extra layer cuts down on temperature drift and helps reduce condensation when the room gets humid. The door has a solid, reassuring pull and seals with a firm close, so I am not babysitting it or nudging it shut. The handle is chunky enough that I can grab it even with wet hands when I am rinsing glasses. The front ventilation means I can push it into a cabinet opening without worrying about heat building up behind it. The blue light emitting diode lighting inside is subtle and evenly spread, which makes it easy to see labels at night without blasting the room with light. The shelves are metal, they slide out smoothly enough and they can be adjusted, which matters a lot more than a fancy pattern or trim. The whole thing feels like it was built for daily use, not just a showroom. Setup was simple, but a couple of small steps made a difference. I let it rest upright after unboxing so the refrigerant could settle, leveled the front feet so the door would self-close, and gave it a little breathing room at the sides even though it vents forward. I plugged it in, tapped the control panel, and set it to the mid-30s in degrees Fahrenheit for sodas and beer. The interface is obvious at a glance. There is a clear temperature readout, up and down controls that respond right away, and a light button for the interior light. No weird menu dives, no complicated sequences. Once it reached the set point, it stayed there. A small thing I appreciated is that the beeps are gentle and short, so it does not sound like a microwave in a quiet room. Performance is where this little fridge just gets out of the way and does its job. I put thermometers on the top shelf and the bottom shelf for a few days. The difference between the top and the bottom was only a couple of degrees, which is totally fine for canned drinks and even better than I expected for a compact unit. I stocked it with warm cans on purpose to see how quickly it would recover. In a little while the bottles and cans felt evenly chilled, and the compressor did not drone while it caught up. Day-to-day noise is whisper level. When the room is quiet at night, I can hear a soft fan and the occasional gentle gurgle, but it is more of a background hush than a buzz. During a movie or a call, it disappears under normal conversation. If you are putting this in an office, a bedroom, or a studio space, that matters. Capacity is rated for roughly 96 cans, and that number is actually realistic if you plan your shelf heights. I got close with a mix of standard soda cans stacked flat and upright. If I start mixing in tall bottles, the total count drops, which is normal for a cabinet this size. The shelves support weight without bowing, and they pull out far enough that I can reach the back without contorting my wrist. One shelf set low gives me room for a couple of wine bottles on their side. If wine is your main thing, a dedicated wine cooler with different shelving would be better, but for a mixed lineup of drinks, this layout makes sense. I tested the temperature memory feature because power blips happen where I live. I set a specific temperature, unplugged the unit for a short while, then plugged it back in. It came right back to the same setting without me touching anything. That is the kind of quiet reliability you only think about when things go wrong, and I was glad it worked as advertised. The lock on the door is another practical touch. I do not use it every day, but if kids are around or I want to keep certain bottles off limits during a party, turning the key and moving on is faster than hiding drinks in a cabinet. Real use over a few weeks revealed a few little quirks. The stainless surface can show fingerprints, so I keep a microfiber cloth nearby. The blue light emitting diode lighting looks great at night, but in a very dark room it can be a little bright, so I sometimes turn it off after guests leave. When the room gets very humid, opening the door a lot in a short time can cause a light fog on the glass for a minute. It clears quickly, but it is there. The shelves glide well, though if I load a shelf all the way to the edge with heavy cans, the slide feels a bit rough near the last inch. None of these have been deal breakers for me, but they are worth knowing. My favorite scenario has been weekend hosting. I load the bottom with water and sports drinks, the middle shelves with sodas, and the top with a mix of beer and a couple of chilled white wines. People can see exactly what is available through the glass door, and they can grab a drink without rooting through the main refrigerator next to leftovers and produce. It keeps foot traffic out of the cooking zone, and it makes the whole flow of the room feel calmer. On work days, the quiet operation is appreciated. It sits behind me in a small home office and never interrupts calls. Late at night, that blue interior glow doubles as a handy night light when I step into the kitchen for a quick sparkling water. The installation flexibility is a real plus. I ran it as a freestanding unit for a bit to find the best location, then slid it into a cabinet opening after I was sure. The front vent means the heat comes out cleanly, and the top does not get warm to the touch. Leveling feet are easy to adjust, which made aligning the door with nearby cabinet lines straightforward. The door swing needs a couple of inches of clearance so the shelves can slide out fully. If you are placing it right next to a wall on the hinge side, leave a little extra room so you do not bump the handle. Cooling consistency has been reliable. I keep it set around the mid to high 30s in degrees Fahrenheit for everyday drinks. If I want to stash a couple of light red wines or craft beers that prefer a slightly higher temperature, I nudge it up into the low 40s. The temperature changes predictably, and within a short time the interior stabilizes. If you load it with a lot of room temperature cans all at once, it will run more continuously for a while, which is normal. The sound profile does not change much. It does not rattle, and it does not click loudly on and off. I tightened one inner shelf rail screw once after a big restock because I heard a little vibration, and it went away. A few thoughtful touches make daily life easier. The flat threshold at the front edge keeps cans from catching when I slide a full shelf out. The door gasket wipes clean, which matters when a can sweats and drips. The light switch has a memory, so if I leave the interior light off, it stays off until I turn it back on. The control panel is responsive, with no lag, and the display is bright enough to read even if the room is sunny. I also like that the compressor does not transfer noticeable heat to the side walls, so I can keep it near wood cabinets without worrying. There are some limits to keep in mind. This is a single-zone beverage refrigerator. If you want to store delicate wines at a warmer setting while keeping sodas ice cold at the same time, you will be juggling shelves and temperatures. Tall 1-liter bottles are a bit awkward unless you remove a shelf or lay them down. The interior is about capacity and quick access, not fancy bottle cradles. For me, that is a fair trade because this is a drink station first, not a collector's wine cabinet. If you are outfitting a kitchen, a bar corner, a media room, or a home office, and you want cold drinks on hand with minimal noise, this checks the right boxes. It looks refined without calling too much attention to itself. It cools evenly. It is easy to live with, easy to clean, and easy to trust. If your priority is a silent, compact, under-counter-friendly fridge that can handle a mix of cans and a few bottles, I can recommend the Karcassin 15-inch beverage refrigerator with confidence. If your focus is specialized wine storage with different temperature zones and display-ready racking, you should look for a purpose-built wine cooler instead. That is my experience with this unit over real daily use. If you want to see more reviews like this, please subscribe and leave a comment with any questions or your own experiences. Thank you for watching.